So you want to start calisthenics? Well, I'm here to help. The things I'm going to teach you in this video are things I learned through making mistakes, through trial and error, but also, of course, through videos like these. If you don't want to make the same mistakes as me, and want to progress as fast and as safely as possible, be sure to watch the whole video, regardless of what your goal is. If it's becoming stronger, more muscular, or just living a healthier life in general, you have to have a strength base. And that is the premise of this whole video. So if you are a beginner, or an intermediate, or are just starting out training in general, it doesn't only have to be calisthenics, then this video is perfect for you. I'm going to be going over not just the exercises, but also the warm-up, the stretching, the programming, the nutrition, the sleep, so basically everything that you need. And of course I'm going to include a few tips and tricks at the end. These are also things I wish I knew when I was a beginner. This would have made my life so much easier at the start. Yeah, let's stop talking about it and just start right away. Please don't skip the warm-up. It is very important for your journey to stay as safe and as injury-free as possible. So I start with arm circles, both forwards and backwards. I'm using a resistance band, but you can also use a stick. Hold it like this, pass it over your head until it touches your back, and then bring it the whole way back. Be sure to keep your elbows locked out. You can make it easier by taking the band wider or holding the stick further out. For that I like to do some body twists. Even though it might look funny, don't forget to warm up your hips. If you don't have a resistance band, you can skip this next part, but I highly recommend you get one. So you pass one end of the resistance band through like this, and pass it through itself, and then pull. For that you go for external rotations. Do these slow and controlled, and make sure that your elbow stays in the same place. I highly recommend getting a resistance band if you don't have one. It's worth it just so that you can do these exercises. So now you have to find yourself a pull-up bar. Just hang yourself on a bar and pull your chest to the sky. Make sure you're not bending your elbows like this, but rather just bringing your chest up. If you don't have a pull-up bar, you can use whatever. Just make sure you can hang off somewhere. I just like to go through the positions. Make sure you don't put too much strain on your wrists, so just with light pressure. After that, go for circles. Never forget your wrist warm-up, especially if it's push day. Just be sure that you warm up your wrist thoroughly. Trust me, your future self will thank you. Then whip back and forth like this. The wrists are very important for exercises like the planche later on. So make sure you strengthen your wrists right from the beginning. The most fundamental push exercise is the push-up. Make sure you're pushing your shoulders down at the end of the movement like this. It will help you later on. If push-ups are too hard, you can just go on your knees and do knee push-ups. If they are too easy, you can stop in between the movement, making it harder. You could also place your hands close to each other and go for diamond push-ups, which target more of your triceps. If all of that is too easy, you can go for archer push-ups like this, but don't go for exercises like this too early on. One of my favorite exercises for the handstand push-up are pike push-ups. Just bring your feet closer to your hands and push like this. Make sure to always return to the starting position. You can make it easier by increasing the distance between your hands and feet. After that, go find yourself dip bars. but you can also use 2 chairs. Make sure that just like with the push-ups, you press your shoulders down at the end of the movement. Go as deep as you feel comfortable. You can make them harder by pausing in between the movement. You can make it easier by jumping up and controlling the negative down. The keyword here is control. Make sure you go slow. You can also use a resistance band by placing it on the bars like this and just stepping into it. In my opinion, this is the best way to learn the dip. The most fundamental pull exercise are pull-ups. At the end of the movement, make sure to bring your shoulders down and squeeze your back muscles as hard as you can. Make sure you're going all the way down and all the way up. Again, make them harder by pausing in between the movement. And make it easier by jumping up and controlling your way down. Make sure to go slow. Like with the dips, you can also make it easier with bands. Just throw one end over and pull it through the other. Then pull it down, step into it, and jump up. Another variation of pull-ups are chin-ups, targeting more of your biceps. Do them to bring more variation into your training regimen. After that, I like to do what is called Australian pull-ups. You can make them easier by placing your feet closer to the bar like this, or by placing the bar higher. You can also make them harder. I'm doing most of these exercises in the gym, but if you don't have a gym you can train at, that's no problem at all. You can always go to a calisthenics park, and even if you don't have a calisthenics park, it's fine to just train at home. Just for the pull exercises, you will need to have something you can hang off of. We will not be focusing on the core all too much, because you already have your core in nearly every other calisthenics exercise. But I like to do what is called L-sit compressions. The further you place your hands back, the easier the movement becomes. And the further you place them at the front, the harder the movement becomes. This is a great exercise to learn the L-sit. Also make sure you do the bolt hold. Make sure as little as possible of your body is touching the ground. Make sure you don't use momentum on this one. Focus on bringing your legs up by contracting your ab muscles. You can also make it easier by bringing up your knees instead of your straight legs. As for leg exercises, I also won't be going over a lot of leg exercises because these are not as important as you might think in calisthenics. The most fundamental one is the squat. Make sure you do it with correct form. You can also use weights. I'm using a weight bag, but you can also just use a backpack filled with books. After that, I like to do calf raises. Make sure you go all the way down and all the way up, really pushing all the way you can right at the top. Training legs with calisthenics is hard, but if you just do enough squats with weights, it will be fine. I like to do a stretching routine after every single workout, but also on rest days. This routine takes about 10 or 15 minutes. Place your hand at the side like this and push your shoulder all the way down to the ground. You should feel a deep stretch in your biceps and your shoulder. I like to hold my stretches for 20 to 30 seconds. When stretching your wrists, make sure to not overdo it, because the small muscles in your forearm are very susceptible to overstretching. Lie on your stomach, place your hands next to you and push up. Make sure to push your shoulders down and push your hips to the ground. This is an exercise I still have to work on. After that, place your hands in front of your head and push your head down to the ground. You should feel a strong stretch in your shoulders and your lats. This pose is great to improve your form in your handstands. After that, sit down and put your hands behind yourself like this. Make sure you're pushing your chest out away from your hands like this. You can make it harder by placing your hands further away. So, volume. More is not always more. Training 3 hours every day, like characters in anime or movies, isn't good for beginners or probably anybody. Let your body get used to the unusual amounts of pressure on your joints and muscles by training modestly. Being able to hold back is as important of a trait as being hardworking. So maybe start out with doing like 1 or 2 hour trainings, like 3 or 5 times a week. Of course, if your training sessions are less intense or shorter, you can increase the amount of sessions in the week, and vice versa. You should slowly increase the volume over weeks or even months to suit your lifestyle, your body, and your needs. Okay, so this is an example of how a workout regimen of a regular week could look like. On Monday I would be doing push and core, on Tuesday I would rest, on Wednesday pull and legs, on Friday push, on Saturday rest, and on Sunday pull and legs. The exercises themselves are interchangeable, so you can put whatever exercises you want. So if you have 2 push days, for example, try to do a little variation between the exercises you do on both push days. So maybe don't do exactly the same push days, but just a little bit different to bring in some variation so you work all of your muscles. Also make sure that you have at least 2 rest days. You can also, of course, do some wrist strengthening, for example, or the external and internal rotations I showed you in the warm-up. You could still do those on a rest day, just to strengthen your smaller muscles and stuff like that, but that should still be light and not very demanding for you. Additionally, I stretch every day, and I would recommend that you do the same, because it helps a lot with your mobility, it helps with recovery, it's just overall very good for you. Make sure to stretch after the workout and not before the workout, and do that every day, so also on rest days. I would recommend you do 3 to 5 sets per exercise. Don't do too much, but also like 1 or 2 sets doesn't really make sense at all. How many sets between 3 and 5 depends on how strong you're feeling on that day. Then also keep the rep range about 4 to 20 reps. Anything before 4 is too dangerous for a beginner because you could hurt yourself and things like that, so maybe just play it safe and go over 4 reps minimum. Over 20 reps is already going into the direction of endurance. If you want to have that, you can of course also go for more than 20 reps, like 30, 40, 50, but for most of you, 4 to 20 reps is ideal. Then, of course, what I already stressed in the warm-up section is warm up before every workout. It's important. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything more about that, just do it, warm up. So this is just an example. You don't have to follow exactly this plan. It's just an idea of how you could do it. So if you maybe don't have enough time to train 5 times a week, of course you can also train less. If you don't like these exercises, of course you can use other exercises. It's just the principle that I want to demonstrate. To always rest every few days, to not overdo on the core exercises, to stretch every day and stuff like that. And one last important thing regarding volume. If you feel sore, then decrease the intensity. Your body is the machine. You don't have the same state every day. Listen to your body. Nearly all of your recovery happens while you're sleeping. So just make sure you get enough sleep. You don't have to sleep 10, 11, 12 hours every day. Just make sure you get your 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day. There's not much need to talk about this. Just do your research and you'll see sleep is so important. Just get enough sleep and fine. So, nutrition. Nutrition is a lot more important than you might think, simply because your actual muscles and your strength is built through nutritions that you eat and you consume in your daily life. So if you don't consume the right things, obviously you won't be able to progress. It's impossible to build muscle without protein, so neglecting nutrition is not a good thing to do. I want you to understand something very crucial about nutrition, because I think social media especially overcomplicates nutrition. I mean, it is a very complicated matter. There is a lot of thought you can put into it, but you don't have to overcomplicate it. It's the same with training. Keep it simple. The things that are important for you and for me, if you want to just build muscle and progress in your sport, is obviously protein. Other than that, you don't have to count your calories, but it's a good idea to have a rough estimate of how many calories you consume in a day, just so you can make sure you're in a calorie surplus if you want to build muscle, if you want to gain weight, or in a calorie deficit if you want to lose weight. Like, you don't have to do meal prepping, you don't have to count your macros, you don't have to... Keep it simple. Just keep it simple. Other than that, maybe what's important is sugar. Don't eat too much sugar. I mean, it's common sense. Just if you want to have your calorie surplus, for example, it's not a good idea to just think, oh, stuff with sugar has a lot of calories, so I'll just eat loads of that. And that's not good for you. Of course, maybe it won't make that big of a difference, but of course, just use your common sense. It's not healthy for you to just eat sugar in masses. Also, you just try to eat like a variety of things. So just don't eat the same thing every single day. Try to get all your calories and all your protein through healthy foods, like cooking yourself, I don't know, chicken and rice. So back to the main topic, protein intake. The average male needs about 1.5 to 2 times their own weight in protein, in grams. So let's take me for example. I weigh around 80 kilos, so I would need to eat around 160 grams protein a day, which is a lot. Another thing, if you have difficulty getting your daily protein intake, you can opt for different sources. For example, you can take supplements, like protein powder is probably the most prominent supplement there is. Just make sure that it's not replacing your actual food. Like, you're not drinking 4 protein shakes a day and then just saying, I've already got my protein intake, I don't have to eat anything anymore. It's a supplement, it's in the name. Other than protein powder as a supplement, you can also take creatine. There aren't any downsides to it, so why not? The only downside is its price, because it can be costly, I guess. But do your research on creatine, it's great. I recommend it. Other than that, collagen is important for a calisthenics athlete, especially. You don't have to take it from the beginning. I would just wait a little later on when you do stuff like that's really heavy on your joints, like the planche. I would recommend getting a collagen supplement if you're not eating enough in your daily meals, simply because it's good for your joints. It helps build your cartilages. It's just great. Yeah. Other than that, you don't need supplements. It's, like I said, it's in the name, supplements. It should supplement your nutrition, not replace it. Keep it clean, keep it simple. Look out for your calorie and protein intake. That's it.
One last thing, don't stress and be patient. Calisthenics takes a long time to master, and if you stress yourself, you're just gonna get injured or frustrated. Regarding this video, just remember that the more solid your foundation is, the better in the long run. Of course, you can also add weight to all of these exercises to really prepare yourself for intermediate or even advanced skills when you start to learn them. People that train hard enough in the basics are sometimes even able to do intermediate or beginner entry-level skills without even training for them. So just do your basics. And this is the part that I think is the most important in the whole video. Don't give up. Just pull through, do your trainings, because most of the people just get overwhelmed by all the information there is, by all the different things they have to think about, and then they just end up giving up. Don't do that. Just pull through, be consistent with your efforts, and you'll see results, I promise you. Another thing that can really help with that is keeping things as simple as possible. You don't have to overcomplicate everything. I know I've put a lot of information in this video, but just take what is useful for you and disregard anything else. Yeah, when I say don't overcomplicate things, I just mean just train, warm up, stretch, eat, and sleep, and you'll be fine. Trust me. Don't worry too much about the exercise at the start. That's something you have to worry about later on maybe, but at the beginning it's just important that you pull through and you actually do it, because that is the hard part. Just don't give up. Yeah, it's that simple. Also, calisthenics training should be logical. It should make sense. So if you feel like something doesn't make sense at all, then you should probably look into it more. And by the way, this is my first video and I have no idea where this channel is going. But if you like my stuff, then please subscribe and click the notification bell. I'm also happy for comments, just with suggestions of what I could do, of what you want to hear, what videos you want to see. And I'm also very happy over critique. So if there's something I could do better or something I do very well that I should continue to do, please do tell me. Yeah, but if you like me, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.